Corby Castle in Cumbria has a rather odd spectre. It's called the Radiant Boy, and stories of its appearances have been related by numerous witnesses in the late 19th and early 20th centuries, though I can find no evidence of more recent visitations. The best-known account involves the Marquis of Londonderry, Lord Castlereagh, who at the time of the story, which was the tail end of the 1890s, was known only as Captain Stewart. He'd been out hunting, and the weather having become very bad, he became separated from his companions, and as night fell, he found himself at the doors of the castle, where he asked the owner for shelter for the night. The owner agreed, but pointed out that the house was full of visitors, and that Captain Stewart would have to make the best of rather haphazard sleeping arrangements. The captain accepted gratefully, and after an excellent supper in convivial company, he was shown to his room by the butler. The bedroom was almost empty of furniture, and the servant apologetically pointed to a pile of cloaks and blankets on the floor, which was to be the captain's shakedown bed. Though it looked uncomfortable, Captain Stewart was more than delighted with the arrangements, especially with the huge roaring log fire in the fireplace. After the butler left him with wishes for a restful night, however, Stewart, being a little unhappy at the height of the fire in the hearth, removed some logs, as the flames were by now reaching very high up the chimney. Despite the primitive sleeping arrangements, Captain Stewart quickly fell into a deep and dreamless sleep. After a period of time, which the captain later estimated at about 2 hours, he awoke suddenly to find his room bathed in a blazing light. Thinking that despite his precautions the fire had got out of control, the captain leapt from his bed and saw an amazing sight. The fire had in fact died out, but the light that illuminated the room was coming from the hearth, or, to be more accurate, from the chimney. For there stood the naked figure of a beautiful young man, and from him shone a golden, glowing light which lit up the whole room. As the captain stared in amazement at the shining apparition, the boy turned his head and stared steadily at the captain. Then the light slowly faded, and the captain found himself in pitch darkness. Despite all of these strange happenings, he fell asleep almost immediately and was not disturbed for the rest of the night. But when he did awake the next morning, he was very angry, because by now he believed that some of the younger guests had played a trick on him. When he questioned them, however, they strongly denied it. But his host reacted in a strange fashion. He jumped angrily to his feet, and summoning the butler, demanded to be told where his guest had slept. The servant apologized profusely, but said that with the house being full, it was the only room available. Oddly, he added that he had built up the fire, as he said, to keep him from coming out. The host angrily chastised the servant, and then took Captain Stewart to one side and explained that the room was never used because of the appearances of the Radiant Boy, and that when the boy appeared to anyone, he foretold a mixed future. For anyone who saw the vision was to rise to the height of his profession and then to die of violence. Captain Stewart laughed off this dire prediction and left the house shortly afterwards. Perhaps there was nothing in it, but he did become Prime Minister as Lord Castlereagh, and he did commit suicide. So you see, the Radiant Boy's prophecy did come true after all.